Welcome back. This is day 2 of my 30-day glass skin journey. Quick question for you before we get into it. Have you ever washed your face, gone to bed, and woken up the next morning to find a faint trace of makeup or sunscreen still sitting on your pillowcase? If that's ever happened to you, I want you to know that's not you being lazy with your skincare. That's usually a sign your cleansing routine isn't actually finishing the job it's supposed to do. And today, we're fixing that. Quick reminder before we dive in, this series is my personal experience and general education, not a substitute for seeing a dermatologist in person about your specific skin. Okay, with that said, let's get into today's topic, double cleansing. Why it's one of the most talked about steps in Korean-inspired routines, what it's actually doing for your skin, and the handful of small mistakes that quietly sabotage it for most people who try it. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether double cleansing makes sense for you, how to do it correctly, and why doing it wrong can honestly leave your skin worse off than not doing it at all. Let's start with the why, because I think this is where most explanations skip a step. Throughout the day, your skin isn't just sitting there passively. It's collecting a mix of things: natural oil your skin produces, sweat, airborne dust and pollutants, and if you wear it, sunscreen and makeup. A lot of that buildup is oil soluble, meaning it clings to the skin in a way that plain water, or even a water-based cleanser on its own, doesn't fully break down. That's especially true for water-resistant sunscreen, which is, by design, formulated to resist water. So if your cleanser is water-based only, you're essentially trying to dissolve something that was engineered not to dissolve in water. That's the entire logic behind double cleansing. Step 1 uses an oil-based product. This could be a cleansing oil, a cleansing balm, or a similar oil-based formula to break down that oily film of sunscreen, sebum, and makeup. Step 2 follows with a gentle, water-based cleanser to lift away whatever residue is left and leave the skin actually clean, not just visually clean. Here's a personal check-in for you. When I started this challenge, I actually wasn't double cleansing consistently. I'd skip the oil step most nights out of pure laziness, especially after long clinic days. 2 days into really committing to it properly, I noticed my skin felt less filmy by morning, if that makes sense. That's obviously not a scientific measurement, just an honest observation, but it's part of why this step earned its place in today's video. Now here's something I want to be really clear about, because I think a lot of content online oversells this step. Double cleansing is not mandatory for everyone. If you don't wear makeup and you don't wear sunscreen that's labeled water resistant, a single gentle cleanse is often genuinely sufficient for your skin. This isn't a step you need to guilt yourself into. It's a tool for a specific problem: thorough removal of oil-soluble buildup without over-scrubbing or over-washing to get there. And that without over-scrubbing part matters more than people realize. If you only have a water-based cleanser and you're trying to remove full coverage makeup or water-resistant sunscreen, what actually happens is you end up washing your face 2, 3, sometimes 4 times to feel like it's really off. Each of those washes strips a bit more of your skin's natural lipids. So the double cleanse isn't an extra indulgent step. It's actually a way to reduce how much your skin gets stripped overall by making the first pass more efficient. Let's pause here for a second. I want to ask you something. Think about your current nighttime routine. Are you someone who wears sunscreen daily but only does a single quick cleanse at night? If so, that's genuinely worth reconsidering, and I'll explain exactly how to add the oil step in a moment. Now let's get into the mistakes, because this is honestly the part that determines whether double cleansing works for you or just becomes an extra step that doesn't do much. Mistake number 1, applying the oil-based cleanser to wet skin. This is probably the single most common error. Oil-based cleansers are designed to glide across dry skin and work their way into the surface to lift debris. The moment you introduce water too early, the product starts to emulsify prematurely, and it loses some of its ability to spread and dissolve that oily buildup properly. So the simple fix is apply your oil-based cleanser to a completely dry face, massage it in gently, and only then move toward rinsing. Mistake number 2, rinsing with water that's too hot or too cold. Water that's too hot strips your skin barrier and can leave you dry and irritated. This one tends to be common knowledge. But water that's too cold has its own issue with oil-based cleansers specifically. It can cause the oil to firm up slightly on the skin's surface instead of rinsing away cleanly, which leaves behind a residue that makes people think oil cleansing doesn't work for them. Lukewarm water is the sweet spot for rinsing this step. Mistake number 3, skipping the second cleanse entirely. Some people rinse off the oil cleanser and stop there, assuming that's enough. For light, no makeup days, that might be fine. But if you are removing sunscreen or makeup, skipping the second water-based cleanse often leaves a thin residue behind. And over time, that residue sitting on the skin can contribute to clogged pores and irritation rather than a clean, calm base for the rest of your routine. Here's a quick, honest moment, something I'm still adjusting during this challenge. I've had to slightly change which order I do things in based on whether I'm showering at night or washing at the sink, because the technique genuinely changes depending on that. If you shower at night, massaging the oil cleanser on before you even step in tends to work well, since the water rinses it as you go. If you wash at the sink, wiping off the excess oil with a clean, soft towel before your second cleanse can make the whole process feel less greasy and more thorough. Let's talk about who benefits most from this. If you wear daily sunscreen, which, if you've been with me from day one, you already know I consider non-negotiable, and especially if that sunscreen is water resistant. Double cleansing tends to make removal noticeably easier and gentler than trying to scrub it off with a single wash. The same goes if you wear makeup regularly. There's also a common question about whether this is safe for acne-prone or sensitive skin, including rosacea-prone skin. Broadly, yes. The key factor isn't whether you double cleanse, it's how gently you do it. An oil-based first cleanse can actually help lift excess sebum and debris out of the skin gently without the friction of scrubbing, which is a reasonable option for acne-prone skin when done correctly. And because this method tends to be less harsh overall than repeated washing, it's often considered appropriate for reactive or rosacea-prone skin too, as long as both products used are gentle and fragrance-free where possible. One more honest caveat, because I don't want to oversell this. Not every oil-based cleanser suits every skin type. Some plant oils used as makeshift cleansers without any added emulsifying ingredients can be genuinely difficult to rinse off completely, and certain oils have been reported anecdotally to aggravate acne-prone skin for some people. If you're going to try oil cleansing, a product that's specifically formulated as a cleansing oil or cleansing balm, meaning it's built to rinse cleanly off the skin, will generally give you a more predictable, less messy experience than using a plain kitchen oil. So let's bring this together. Quick recap of today. Double cleansing exists to solve one specific problem, removing oil-soluble buildup like sunscreen and makeup without having to overwash your skin to get there. It's not mandatory for everyone, but if you wear daily sunscreen or makeup, it's genuinely one of the more evidence-supported steps in this whole routine. And the difference between it working well or not usually comes down to 3 small technique details. Apply oil cleanser to dry skin, rinse with lukewarm water, and always follow with a proper second, gentle cleanse. I'd love to know, are you someone who already double cleanses, or is this something you're going to try tonight for the first time? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely read them. If you're finding this challenge useful, hit subscribe so you don't miss a day. Tomorrow, on day 3, we're moving to the next step in the Korean routine sequence, toner, and specifically why the Korean approach to toner is so different from what a lot of Western routines teach. See you tomorrow for day 3.